We're here at the Gist conference with Sean Applegate, Chief Technology Officer at Swish. Sean, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Wyatt.
What would you say are the largest opportunities in zero trust, which the government really should be taking advantage of as we move forward in the year?
In a recent survey, over 60% of CISOs noted they were seen as an impediment to innovation or change. Imagine in federal, in many cases, the compliance is the driving factor instead of, say, form and function. Just imagine how many times as a government employee you've had challenges logging into your laptop. Maybe it's slow or it takes a long time to log in, or you have challenges accessing an application remotely. We see this pretty common across our government clients, and often the opportunity for the CISO or in zero trust is to engage in transforming their architecture so their employees can have a better experience and they can enable the mission objectives to be faster or better achieved. And so it really comes back to how can they re-architect their environment in a cloud-centric world. Swish recently worked with one of our federal government clients, and we worked with them to consolidate 3 large contact centers spread across the US where they had over 2,000 employees that had to remotely access their internet over a legacy VPN approach, so traditional perimeter approach. They logged in across the country to the trusted internet connection. It took a long time. And then the servers they actually had access were back at the remote sites, which were typically 10 or 20 miles from where they physically sat in their homes or in a regional workspace. The experience wasn't very good. It was painful and slow. And in many cases, the users weren't happy and they weren't very productive for their jobs. Swish engaged this client, and what we were able to do was migrate them to a cloud-centric zero trust architecture, and that complemented their new cloud-based contact center that we also helped them build out in parallel. Ultimately, what that allowed them to do was build not just a more secure segment of one zero trust architecture, but the employees were able to access applications much faster, typically 3 to 5 times faster, and they had a much better experience. Ultimately, the agency was able to realize better productivity, more satisfied employees, and as they onboarded hundreds of seasonal contact center agents, they could onboard them using automation and get them on board and functioning and productive within a few hours instead of a few days. So a big win for them from a transformational perspective at the operational level. The CISO at the end of the day looked really smart. He was able to transform and enable the business instead of just make it more secure, make the business run better. So he was able to consolidate his tools. His teams were able to run security better and focus on higher value for the organization instead of running a complex Congo line of security appliances that didn't scale well and were really costly. So at the end of the day, simplified architecture, reduced costs, and improved employee productivity for the mission.
It's a great story. Well, Sean Applegate, thank you so much for joining us today here at the Gist conference.
No, my pleasure, Wyatt. Thank you.